Sometimes in gaming, second time's the charm. From Commander Shepard romancing everyone in the galaxy to Ezio turning stabbing into interpretive dance, these are the sequels that blew away the original games. Hello and welcome to ROG Global, where we recently unveiled the new generation of Zephyrus laptops. With up to RTX 4090 graphics, our Nebula OLED displays, and a sleek new look, we're pretty proud of them. And that got us thinking about sequels that just did everything better. All the bits you liked about the original are still there, but they're living their best life now at full potential. Games do this all the time. A new IP that sketches out an exciting creative vision, then a polished sequel that makes it all work harmoniously together. So, here are the 7 games that absolutely blew away the originals. Subscribe to the channel, leave us a like, and strap in for some formidable follow-ups. The first Mass Effect had its hands full. It had to get you up to speed with its whole sci-fi universe, the mass relay fast travel technology that powered it all, and it had to convince you that either the handsome charisma vacuum Kaidan Alenko or buxom space racist Ashley Williams were worth fretting over. But it did it, and it even threw in some crunchy cover shooting and spectacular combat abilities in the process. Then 3 years later, in 2010, Mass Effect 2 showed up with such scale, such rich detail and consequence of action that it made the first game look like a child's rudimentary sketch of some spacey things. In this epic space opera, Commander Shepard makes real, meaningful decisions about how to fight back the Reapers. They're recruiting crew members, they're seducing them, they're traveling between sharply defined, curious planets, finding quests with great plot arcs everywhere they go. Mass Effect 2 isn't just better than the original, it might be the best sci-fi RPG we've ever seen.
Take a good long look at me. Do I look like a looter?
No.
That's right. Now I'm going in. If I find looters, I'll kill them. Anybody gets in my way, I'll kill them too.
Street Fighter 2 transcends gaming. These ultraviolet sprites are truly iconic in an age where we use that word all too often. That time when your mate did a backflip off a beer garden table, that was just good. Ryu's Shoryuken, that's actually an iconic image. Street Fighter 1 though, you don't hear much about it, do you? The 1987 original had a lot of the famous characters and moves already in place, but in truth it just wasn't a very good fighting game. While your opponents leaped around the screen like taurine-fueled gymnasts on fast forward, your own movements felt like guiding a slug across treacle. This is a series famed for its frame-counting, pinpoint accuracy, but that certainly wasn't in place back in '87. The sequel got the controls and movesets so right that it popularized a genre, catapulted Ryu and Co to mainstream stardom, and even justified a movie or two. Quite the turnaround for a series that didn't even seem sure if you were pressing punch or kick in its debut outing. Titanfall 2. The ultimate trump card. The hipster's choice for every best game of the decade conversation, more famous for being criminally overlooked than for any one thing that actually happens in it, which makes sense when you think about it because nobody played it, and that's what made it criminally overlooked. Respawn built on a solid formula of futuristic, Battlefield-style FPS mechanics, giant mechs, and parkour that served the first game pretty well. Then, they somehow became Valve Software and delivered a campaign so consistently surprising, so full of set pieces and delight, always giving you a new toy and then presenting you with 7 ways to use it in the most satisfying manner possible, that it's a genuine surprise not to see Gordon Freeman involved somewhere here. But no stoic research scientists, just gung-ho shooty men, talking mechs, and endless invention. Respawn would take some of it and drop it into Apex Legends a couple of years later, a masterful battle royale in its own right, but for the faithful, it'll never get better than this. No, not Metal Gear Solid 2, as in actual Metal Gear Solid from 1998. Because as much as this game feels like Kojima's all-conquering debut, and did admittedly set the template for MGS games to come, the story actually began much earlier. Right back in 1987, the same year Street Fighter began its illustrious journey, Konami released Metal Gear on the Famicom. The young Hideo Kojima had wanted to make a different kind of action game, one less about mowing down enemies and more about outsmarting them and sneaking past them. It was inspired by The Great Escape, the first of countless movies to be referenced and homaged in the series' oeuvre. However, as you can see, it's not Metal Gear Solid, is it? The 98 PlayStation game used a decade of tech advancements to properly deliver on the premise of a cinematic stealth game, where details like footprints in the snow and breath clouds in the cold became important game mechanics, and PlayStation's game discs allowed for proper voice acting. You've doubtless got your own personal favourite sequel to this sequel, but let it be remembered that the original MGS was itself a refinement of an old classic.
It's Snake. I'm in front of the disposal facility.
Excellent, Snake. Age hasn't slowed you down one bit.
It wasn't that there was anything wrong with Resident Evil. Various Redfields marauding through a big scary house where zombies were plentiful and ammo was rarer and more valuable than Fabergé eggs. Puzzles, scares, good stuff. But look, Resi 2 took that formula and absolutely perfected it. The atmosphere around Raccoon City PD is masterful. And even though it makes absolutely no sense that law enforcement officials would file their documents by lining up gemstones with the sun, the puzzles are that much more satisfying too. Combat hits a sweet spot between vulnerability and empowerment, and it's replayable with Leon and Claire in various orders, and bursting with secrets in every enigmatic, darkened corridor. And in their 2019 remake, we got to enjoy it all in a new way, without the tank controls and the old school fixed camera angles. And it was good. Gorgeous visuals, snappy shooting, revised take on classic story. It's as good as survival horror gets, and it's got a 2 in the title, so it had to be on this list. Now, obviously, the New Colossus isn't the second game in the Wolfenstein series, which dates back to 1992, when tie-dye was the last word in sartorial elegance. And the series has taken many forms and directions in the intervening years from then to 2017. However, it is the sequel to 2014's The New Order, a brilliantly enjoyable machine game shooter that's absolutely blown out of the water by its successor. We could all see the vision in The New Order. Alt history, brutal combat, comic book moves, larger-than-life villains. But when you load up the New Colossus and you begin on that naval vessel as an all-but-destroyed BJ Blazkowicz and realize you're having incredible fun mowing down enemies while dual-wielding weapons in a wheelchair, well, you know you're playing something pretty special. It never wastes a chance to turn a corridor shootout into a brilliant, imaginative set piece. Its characters are nearly Austin Powers grade, they're so high camp, and it'll make you both laugh and cry with its pithy dialogue and heart-rending dog-based flashbacks, and in doing so, absolutely justifies its place on this list.
You've gotten so fat.
Set says we're having twins.
Please don't stab us to death and chuck us in a haystack, Altair, but you weren't the most likeable protagonist when all's said and done, were you? The original Assassin's Creed was more about the potential of Ubisoft's creative vision for this new time-traveling open-world premise than a really tight, mechanically robust experience in its own right. When Assassin's Creed 2 came along, the series really started to get fun. Firstly, we've got a hero with one of the best names in gaming. Say it with me, Ezio Auditore da Firenze. There's charisma dripping off that name, isn't there? More often than not, there's blood dripping off him too, thanks to a much superior combat model that flows like lethal ballet. Renaissance-era Italy is the perfect place to test drive Ezio's improved parkour skills too, rewarding you with an eye-wateringly beautiful vista whenever you get up high enough. It's everything that the first game promised it could be, and the true foundation of the series that followed. And that brings us to the end of our journey. Thanks as always to the true homies still watching. Do you want a sequel to this video? Tell us about it in the comments. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, drop us a thumbs up to make our day, and we'll see you in another one.
This is not how I imagined my first day.